See a lot of that. It's not you still see a lot of people going, oh, it's gonna crash, it's gonna die. I think that prospect is very interesting. It's scary because AI is robots that will take over the world. You may look at a Picasso and you might not like a Picasso because visually it doesn't resonate with you, right? But you buy it because it is a Picasso.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Sandbox, obviously it's a big story today. It's been a fairly tumultuous year in 2022, and there's been a lot of challenges. Why do you think 2023 is going to be better?
I think that in any 2023 is when we have gone deep into a bear market, right? And a lot of people are bearish more than bullish, although there's been certain signs of bullishness in the past couple of weeks or months. But I think generally speaking, when we go into a bear market, like during the ICO times, what happens is that a lot of the speculative nature of the market or the participants tend to exit. So when they exit, it actually provides a golden period where development is the primary focus, right? Because then people are not looking at the token half the time. It can be very distracting, right? Because if you look at it, like even our ecosystem, we have tokens, we have assets for sure, but ultimately when that's the primary conversation, then you don't actually focus on the actual product, right? And I think during the ICO days, what happened was everyone who was purely speculative in nature, but weren't actually developing during the bear, they died. So, but what happened was the people who were focusing on development were then benefiting from the investment that was still there. So I think that comes in two phases, right? When the euphoric phase happens in the bull, there's a lot of investment that goes into speculative investments, right? Because they want to catch that train, they want to catch that wave. So the good development projects don't actually get the funding, right? Whereas now, what happens is that because people are more tight, so investment still happens, it's just that it's really difficult. So then they would look at companies like Sandbox, who is actively building. They're looking at our ecosystem partners who are also genuinely building for consumer experience. They're building an experience on the Sandbox, and they're investing into companies that are actually developing now. So as a whole, I think that the builder ecosystem actually benefits. Yes, the overall investment amount may have shrunk, but then it's channeled and more focused into people who are building, versus you may have a very big pool of investment, but it goes into a lot of speculative plays, right? Which they may have made money or they may have lost a lot of money. And 2022 was a year where people lost a lot of money on, some would say, speculative investments, right? So I think that there's a lot of spillover positive impact as a result, right? So everyone's looking at, and the conversation in the market changes as well, exactly like ICOs, right? In the early days of ICOs, the market were being driven by even when you talk about influencers and stuff like that, being driven by people who were just playing the speculation game. So I think as a 2023, we'll see a lot of that. It's not, you still see a lot of people going, oh, it's gonna crash, it's gonna die, but ultimately I think we'll benefit from it. So 2023 to me is a good year.
If you had to pick three things, trends or developments that you're most excited about in the coming year, what would they be?
I actually think AI is going to be pretty exciting, and a lot of people don't see the connection. But what is the value of AI is actually the ability to auto-generate content, right? Now, if you apply that in the metaverse space, what does that mean? It means that, potentially, and I don't know how this is going to work in terms of a tech point of view, but potentially, and this has been talked about in many spaces, you could create an experience which is very alive, because the content auto-generates. Like, it's not scripted by a programmer who's like, let's say it's an adventure game and you only have 3 responses to it, right? And then from there you get it's like a response tree. It's very rigid, and it doesn't accommodate when people do something that's completely out of the norm. And that's what happens when you have the whole world playing a single game. But with AI, what it can do is it can accommodate these random inputs and potentially create a very customized or random output, which then enhances the experience of the game. So essentially, you can have NPCs that you don't even write the responses when players interact with it. The NPCs would respond automatically based on the response input. That is very different for everyone. So that changes the dynamics of games a lot. So AI would end up, we believe, in the long run. So I don't know how long it's going to take, right? Because the development of the tech's one thing, integrating into existing games is a totally different problem. But I think that prospect is very interesting. It's scary because AI is robots that will take over the world. But on the other hand, in terms of just like game experience, it's probably very exciting.